Well, friends, I want to welcome you back to the Spruce Stomper YouTube channel. Seems like a bit of a hiatus is taking place. When you find yourself with so many things on the go, sometimes what you got to do is just stop, cut a little bit of firewood, regroup. Well, I know I've received at least a couple of comments there. Folks asking, well, where the heck did you go? What happened to the Spruce Stomper YouTube channel? I'll tell you, shameful, eh? Nothing breaks me up more than starting in on something and then not doing it justice. What have we been up to? Thought it was a good idea to start another business. Why not? When a guy's got a little bit of free time on his hands, jam it full of something else. That's what us industrious folks like you and me do, right? Let's cut some firewood. Oh, of course we wouldn't venture into the woods without our finest tool. I either left the soup mix in the quad trailer because I was fixing in my mind subconsciously to head out and do this and enjoy myself for a second, or it is broken and it doesn't work. I cannot remember, but let us find out. Now, don't think that I don't know that that's a little bit unfair to just go, well, you know, hadn't made a couple videos in a while because I got other things to do. People want to know what you've been up to, but I'll tell you, it's well worth the wait. Whenever you see a lot of people running around, oh, you gonna spill one? Always spill, you know? Why is that? I can see visually it filling and my brain goes, oh, that's probably enough. And then you give it that one glub more. Whenever you're surrounded by a lot of folks grumping and grousing about how hard times are, I think the appropriate mindset to switch into is not how hard are the times, but what kind of opportunity do the hard times offer? There's a lot of guys that are working 2 jobs or doing whatever they can just to get by, but holy moly. Man, I hope that's got a blue tint to it. I make a rule, and this is going to be different from every guy's outfit. I make a rule that if the can is smaller than 5 gallons at my house, it has mixed gas in it. Only clear fuel in 5-gallon jugs and up. And if I'm going to run saw gas or boat gas or whatever the case is, it goes in a little jug and then it never gets mixed up. Because I don't know if you've ever ran unmixed. Oh, there, see? Spilled again. Spilled again. I don't know if you've ever run straight gas in a machine that requires mixed fuel, but it gets rather temperamental. Jesus, it's been about a second here since I've mucked with the camera. Feel like a fish out of water. So as I was saying, if you are surrounded by people saying times are too hard and I, can't do this, can't, well, I think then for a wise fella, you start thinking, I can, and you start seeking out things to do that might fill a need or a niche and kind of put yourself ahead. Nobody ever got ahead by just standing still, right? So more in the future. Good news, it doesn't involve swinging a hammer because, well, I don't know if they've ever told you anything about being in the trades, but it turns out it's hard on the body in the long run. So try something different. Variety is the spice of life. Top shelf today, we're even got the wireless microphone going for sound quality. Is this thing gonna work? Trigger lock, engage. Soup mix time. Uh-oh, don't drop, start the chainsaw. Never gets old, eh? I just saw another video recently. This guy, they're unboxing, let's face it, any Amazon chainsaw, they're all just a breed of the soup mix, all same junk. Unboxing like they just discovered some well-kept secret. Viewers of the Spruce Stomper channel know, we know all about the soup mix. We're not new to the game. You know, even though it's still early season, this is really, really dry. So if you're gonna set the saw down, just up on top of a stump's a good idea. Keeps it up out of the dry duff and the leaves, and nothing spoils a good firewood time like fire itself. Well, I've just about 1,000% got distracted from cutting firewood. It's just too nice, eh? The sun is beating down on me. It's gorgeous. So back here, the idea is to keep the buffer of trees. I don't want to be able to see back here from the house, but I'd like to turn this into a bit more usable space. It's got real good potential. It gets awesome sun too. Well, we're probably actually facing right into it. It's not good for the camera. It gets really good sun, so I'd like to grow a bit more stuff. I'd like to kind of just explore that, a little bit of that homestead streak in me, you know. I just don't always have the time, but back here, I think around the lagoon would be awesome if we could clear this. Like all these willows, all this has got to go. This is all growing back up. It's no good. Old dirty brush pile. Got to do something about that. And then we have that big, beautiful tree, the fir tree, which has been, you know, kindly, lovingly referred to as the hugging tree in past videos. We want to open that up so it's not crowded. And then just through here is a really nice flat spot. And I thought, what a beautiful, beautiful spot for a timber frame structure in the future. We could get the mill fired up, we could get the timber frame and tools out, and it would just be an ideal location for what I'd like to think as of like a heritage building. Well, I'm gonna forget the name of the video. There's a YouTube channel called The Northman, and a gentleman by the name of Jacob. Oh, it's called The Birth of a Wooden House. If you have not watched the film A Birth of a Wooden House, man, even click off this video right now and go watch it. It is absolutely amazing. I do not have the skill set to do what those folks are up to, but I like the idea of trying to do something on a small scale where you build it. Oh, this is how you know we're definitely not cutting firewood at this pace. I'm getting further and further away. Oh, look at that. Yeah, a couple of moose been back here. I thought it'd just be real neat to do like a traditional stone foundation, right? You could gather up the rocks. Oh, here's a bit of snow. You could gather up the rocks, you know, dig the hole, mill all our own timber. I don't think I have enough opportunity to get the timbers off my own property, but maybe. The trees aren't quite big enough, but we're resourceful. We'd find something. And then right in here would be a really cool spot to build it. It doesn't look like much right now, but basically, if you look from right here all the way over here, that tree, we should swing around and cut that up too. That's the same poor tree that in the beginning of the YouTube channel, we fell that tree with a Milwaukee whole hog and an auger bit. What the heck were we up to back in those days, eh? Just carefree, having a good time. It'd be kind of like a little hideaway. Right here, clean it up, and then plant all around the lagoon and back a little bit further, because those trees, I mean, like we pointed out, they're dying anyways. A nice field, right? Wouldn't that be cool? Just a nice field, and just nothing. Just a building to, not to store anything, but to maybe just entertain or to take the kids, you know, like a little cabin and just be cool to spend the night. I know you're not far away from your actual house, but you know, it's just got that little bit of mystique. And then I think it'd be cool to have the building here of some sort, whether it's a building or maybe it's a barn. I also thought that'd be cool. A traditional, like a timber framed barn structure. And then a guy could store a couple things in it, but just kind of put your maker's mark on something that's built in such a way that you'd like to think that it could be here for 100 years. And, you know, and then add something to the property, you know? Oh, I'm just rambling on. You see what I've been so bogged down with the construction season, and to be honest, this new venture of mine involves a bit more paperwork and computer stuff than I'm used to as well, which I'm not complaining. I'm a modern man, but just feels good. It's good to be out. It's good, feels good to be outside. Oh yeah, look at that old poplar tree that's dead. And there's so much we got to do here. Really what I need to do is get a mini excavator. Not mini, but like a 35 or something in here, and so it can whistle in between the trees. Got the little blade on it, thumb, and well, and not even burn, eh? So up where we're kind of at the midpoint of the province, British Columbia, they already have fire restrictions in place. I don't know. You take it for what it's worth. Everyone's got a different opinion of why the fire bans are on. Is it drier than other years? Some guys will say yeah, some guys will say no. But I mean, just the forest fire stuff, hey, gets people real edgy. So earlier and earlier they put the fire bans on. So where I'm heading with that, I think the spruce stomper needs to get himself a wood chipper, because how do you clean this stuff up? I mean, you can't, it definitely get too dry in the summer. You can't burn any of it. So what do you do with it? Whereas at least if you chipped it up, you know, you got these big hollows and holes, and I mean, a guy could just dump her in there and away you go. Oh, all in due time. But I could run a pretty decent sized wood chipper on the back of the Kubota, like an 8-inch chipper, and it'd make short work of a lot of this stuff. And it's a good resource to have, a good pile of wood chips. I mean, you think wood chips are something that people, I mean, they go out of their way to pay money for them. Well, maybe not these, I mean, more like cedar chips and stuff like that, but it doesn't hurt to have them around. Good for landscaping, let them rot back into the earth or whatever. Yeah. All right, well, I guess we can't jabber on forever. Guys gotta do something. Can't tell the wife you're taking the quad out to get a little bit of firewood and then come back with no firewood, eh? It only works once or twice, and then they become suspicious that you're not actually doing anything. Oh, every time. Some kind of little bugs here. Just, it was right here when I moved this log. Just a whole little swarmy patch of them. You never know what kind of bug they are. People have been talking about ticks this year. I don't know. Personally, I've never actually seen a tick in real life. I've lived here my whole life. I've never seen a tick. On a moose, I've seen a tick. I should take that back. I've seen a tick in real life, but only on a moose. I've never just seen one out and about. I've never had one, or one on the dogs, or nothing like that. But yeah, some kind of bug. Then the other day, well, it's been quite a few days now, a few weeks probably. My wife and kids there, they got a hold of a bug, a big beetle-looking thing. And a lot of people mistake them for like a June bug, I think they call them, or something. But anyways, it was a spruce beetle. I don't know if you know, if you don't know what that is, British Columbia has had its fair share of problems with different kinds of bugs eating trees. The pine beetle, of course, would be the big one that people would recognize, but the spruce beetle, same idea. They kill the tree, and I don't have a lot of experience with them. So the kids took this little beetle, not that, it's pretty big, and they put it, they captured it and put it in the house in a fish tank, and then put a couple of spruce boughs in the fish tank with this beetle. You would not believe the destruction that one of those beetles on its own caused. It was amazing. Chewed that bark bloody right off those boughs. One beetle. And you thought, if one beetle can do that, what would 100 of them, what would 1,000 of them do? Anyways, long story short, it was a fun science experiment, but that bug will not be getting released back out into the wild. But yeah, interesting to see. I guess we'll find out if that last clip was usable. This fell off my shirt at some point, and the audio was being recorded from foot level. Nobody ever said it was high production value. Well, there's two things I know right now. I did not throw the soup mix in the back of the quad trailer because it was sharp and ready to go. I don't think I've seen a file in a hot second. And we should have brought a screwdriver with us. It could use a little bit of adjustment, but It beats a handsaw. That wireless mic is kind of a pain in the butt. For a lot of the videos previous to this one, I had to abandon it a little bit just because it's such a hassle. And it's definitely a noticeable quality in the audio when it's working proper. It's good, but then you got to be careful where you place it. You know, is it too close to the saw, or is it too close to the bike? And in the construction stuff, same thing too. Some of the tools are real loud. And anyways, what are you gonna do? I think mainly what I'm driving at, and part of the reason that I like to try and get a few things on the go. I wasn't always like that. You know, I had, like in previous videos talked, it's a regular job, working for somebody else and whatnot, but it just feels like in this day and age, some diversification is important. Isn't it they always drive at you? Oh, if you're investing, you better diversify, not all your eggs in one basket. Well, it's the way I kind of look at it. It's not about the freedom, that's for sure. I mean, geez, you're busy all the time, you know, phone's ringing, you're packing it around. I got like 13 notebooks for different things to remember and everything. I don't mind. But I was having a conversation the other day with another fellow that's self-employed, and this has really stuck out in my mind since then. It may not be about the perks and the glory or certainly the money, but man, it is a hell of a feeling to know that you can just kind of cowboy around and do your own thing. There's something to be said for that. I don't know what it is, but that's the story I'm telling myself. Do. Should always put the lid back on the gas can. You lose these caps. Do you know if you can buy these just separately? I don't think I've ever seen that, have I? Just the yellow piece that goes inside the lid? I've certainly never had to buy one, but it seems like something somebody might need. This old Picaroon. I could use a new handle, eh? I'd say treat myself. I'd actually like a hookaroon that goes up. I'd like to have one of each. It's on the list of things it wouldn't hurt to have. You can never have enough tools, ever, never ever. Ugh. Had to stop at a job this morning, give a hand to the cabinet guy there, putting a vanity in a bathroom. So I kind of ran the flooring in as far as I thought it needed to go because it's floating, and floor, you don't want the cupboards on top of it. So anyways, I stopped for a chit chat with him and get things fixed up, and he said, oh, while you're here, can you give me a hand carry in the cabinet, you know, just make it easier. Not that he couldn't have done it by himself, but he seemed like a wise guy. Why not ask for a little help if the opportunity presents itself? I made the crack. I says, well, it seems like you need yourself a helper, eh? It's pass on your knowledge and you wouldn't have to pack all this stuff. I was being a smart ass, right? And he said, yeah, I had a helper with me, but he moved on, eh? I said, oh, geez, because it's actually like the cabinetry stuff. If you get lined up with a guy like the fella I was with this morning, like he's been doing it a long time. He's a professional. He knows the ins and outs, and there's a lot more to cabinetry than meets the eye. So he thought, well, what an opportunity, eh, for a young fella to learn some craftsmanship from somebody that's been at it for a while. And he says it just strictly came down to a matter of economics. The cabinet company is a locally owned business. You know, they're trying to make it work for their employees whilst trying to make it work for the business owner to make, you know, a couple of nickels. You know, as business operator, you hope to keep a little bit of the money for yourself once in a while. He took a mill job. It's a big thing in our area, less and less as the generations go by because there's less and less different mills and mines to work at, but yeah, it's $10 an hour more right off the hop, eh? And benefits and all that sort of thing. But I think a young guy would be torn between that. You got to do what's right for your family. I don't know this guy, so I'm just speculating, just in general. But you get offered an opportunity that say is going to be, you know, $10 an hour more. Well, of course, you would probably jump at that extra $10 an hour because, you know, up is better than backwards. But I kind of thought about it as I drove back from the job, doing other stuff, that you do things for one reason, and that reason should be what's best for your family, right? If you've made that commitment to have a family and a wife and that sort of stuff, you have to do what's in their best interest, because that's your job. That's your role to provide and protect. But at the same time, the flip side of that coin is that, you know, maybe things are a little bit harder with the other job, but I gotta guess that you'd get a lot better sense of satisfaction out of learning a craft and maybe basing your life around that craft, or creating a life that you'd be proud to tell other people about, or something like that. I know for myself personally, that's why I kind of have veered in a different path the older I get. A lot of the stuff I tackle, you know, from the outside, they go, oh, that guy's busy, you know, doing stuff. Well, yeah, I'm busy, but a lot of the stuff I've agreed to do or have taken on, work-wise or business-wise, personally, or whatever, is just to be like, yeah, I did that. I wanted the challenge, and it feels good to do that and be able to like, look, you know, look at this. This is cool, you know. It makes me feel good to do so, and I think that makes you able to be a better, you know, whether it's, you know, a dad or a husband or just a better person, whatever the case might be. But you get pinched by the cash flow, right? I've never been, not never, but I've rarely been in a place that's, you know, run like a big factory or something where everybody's a big shiny smile on their face and they're just so proud to be there and whatever, you know, they're, this, you know, the pay's pretty good, you know, oh, it's a job. How many times have we heard that kind of stuff? It's a fine balance, right? It's definitely a fine balance. In a heartbeat, I mean, I'm telling you, if whatever struck me, whatever the circumstance, I mean, if a guy ended up just taking a job that you felt was way beneath you or you hated to support your family and your life, well, I would do that in a heartbeat, no question. I mean, you do whatever it takes, but ideally, you find something that, you know, you find some fulfillment. I think chasing happiness is a false thing too. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me. Oh, find what makes you happy and you'll never work in a day in your life. Well, I'll tell you what, if you do one thing long enough, like I love to run that little band mill. And if you could figure out how to make money doing that, great. But I'll tell you, I have come across enough guys that do that sort of thing from the outside that looks, that's so great. Yes, as a hobby, great. Full time, once again, a job. So back into the variety piece, you know. Yeah, I got more than one thing on the go. A little of this, little of that. Even better if you could figure out a little of this, little of that brings in revenue. Perfect, right? Now you're covering both bases. You got the satisfaction, the fulfillment, and it's making a little cash. Guys I know that do that sort of thing are probably some of the happiest, well-rounded people I've ever met. It looks chaotic from the outside. You know, as they like, that's the best term I can think of. They're just running around kind of like a cowboy, just, you know, doing this, doing it. You're like, oh, it looks crazy. But they got a smile on their face. It's almost like the little bit of the chaos starts to feel good, you know? You're not clocking in and clocking out, and yeah, you might work all the time or late or whatever, but it's your own choice. Well, we didn't cut. We cut an embarrassingly small amount of firewood, eh? That's okay. The soup mix needs to breathe once in a while. They can't cage a wild animal up like that for too long. I also forgot how much walking you got to do for different camera angle shots. Well, this would be the part of the trek where you got to make the hard call. Do you just back up, or do you push through the last little bit of snow and turn what was a very pleasant outing into something that's ripe with disappointment? Well, weren't we just talking about variety and adventure? Being shy never got you anywhere. I think we'd have better luck without the darn trailer, but it was kind of hitched to us, so as long as we don't spin a tire, we'll be okay. Well, do you guys see a trail? I don't really see a trail, but we can make a trail. We just got to turn the Honda into skidder mode. Hey, see, this is the kind of stuff you'd need that wood chipper for. That'd be top shelf. Alrighty. That reminds me of being out. Basically, every time we'd go out quadding when I was a kid, or even now, if you go with my old man, my dad would watch. I can remember one ride in particular. We were out with quite a group. He had his old 4Trax, and then I was riding a Honda Big Red 3-wheeler, and we had been out all day. It was a real long quad trip, and there was a pretty good group of guys. And there is always, most of the group are real aggressive, like aggressive. Ride over everything, don't move nothing off the trail. And there was a tree, a big old gnarly spruce tree with nasty old branches. Like, I mean, like big old pokey branches sticking out. And the top of that tree, I mean, it was a ways off the ground, like way too high to be like, oh, I'll ride over that. They did, man. They bucked and jumped and hauled and moved and pushed, and I think one or two guys went over top of this dang thing. And I mean wrecking stuff, like, you know, cracking plastic and doing all this, all for the glory to say, I did it. And the whole day was like that, every mud hole, everything. And my dad would just patiently, he always kept me, because I was young enough at the time, I stayed behind him, I followed his lead, right? It was his bike. He just casually waited, then he got his saw out. He cut a piece out of the tree, rolled it off to the side, drove through. We got to a huge mud hole. They romped and swamped and water up to the bottom, you know, over the seat, and just destroying these machines. He just quietly looked, again, got his saw out, trimmed a few branches, made a trail that went completely around this nasty old bog hole. We just, you know, nothing broke, nobody got stuck, nobody got hurt. And that just sticks with me now. I try and do, well, I'm maybe a little more rough around the edge sometimes, but I'll never forget that. Watching these other guys just beat the living crap out of their gear. Yeah, my dad just casually assess, around. Funny stuff. I'm gonna take the microphone with me. I do miss that part of the microphone. See, I'm walking away from the shot. I don't feel so lonely. And the camera's far enough away that if I do something stupid back here, you guys can't see. All right, well, we may as well make a load of it, eh? We drove all the way out here. I'd like a nice pair of leather gloves, eh? I'll tell you, if I find a pair of gloves, these are not them, that just kind of do it for me, I buy a whole box of them. Same with boots and pants. I always look like I'm wearing the same thing. I bought a package of these shirts. I think I got 6 or 7 of them. Man doesn't need nothing else. Simple living. All right. Get her sawed up, loaded up. I only brought one beverage with me, and we're not in the sunshine anymore, so fair warning. I'm gonna hit you with the dreaded time lapse, so we'll try and find some good music for you. Enjoy. Huh, well, fancy that. The chain didn't get any sharper as we went. Uh-oh, we're being stalked by a very serious predator here. Look at the size of that fat squirrel. Well, you won't be able to see it, but you count your days there, buddy. You stay back here, you're fine. You come up near the shop and the house, not so fine. We've had a few problems with the rodents. They like to get into stuff they're not supposed to get into, primarily near my shop. Well, I would hazard to say that this video might be coming near its end. It turned into a bit of a walkabout, didn't it? Like an extended version of A Thought with Scott. I'll tell you, a guy just had enough things on his mind that it's nice to not have to think about too much other than simply picking up a few blocks of firewood. Anyways, I appreciate you guys watching along. We're closing in on 4,000 subscribers. Now, I know as well as anybody, you can't very well gain subscribers without video. So we're back on track. I don't always know what order or what the adventures are gonna be, but I assure you, I haven't forgot to have them. So we'll see you next time. Appreciate you coming along. How'd the driving away shot look? Was it smooth? Here's a blooper for you. Buck the darn gas can out. Okay, for real. We'll see you next time. I hope the night shift unloads that. I'm certainly not.